We just killed Christmas, Egon. Christmas is gone forever. We're talking the real Ghostbusters. Hit it. It was 1986. Molly Ringwald was pretty in pink. Phantom of the Opera debuted at London's West End. Shoulder pads continued to be a part of fashion. And the Ghostbusters were dropped into A Christmas Carol. I'm your host, Jerry D., with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me is a Totally Rad Christmas All-Star and Ratty winner from North Pole Radio. It's Santa Ambassador, Matt Spaulding. Matt, how's it going?
Hey, Jerry, it's awesome. And thanks for bringing up Phantom of the Opera. I'm never going to get over the fact that that closed.
Happy Christmas Podcast Day. You're welcome. Yeah, that I never saw it. I'm not a musicals fan.
I know you're not.
But people love it. So I'm sorry that it closed because I know people really, really, really like that one. So hopefully you get a chance to see it sometime.
I hope it comes back. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I've seen it a few times, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, great. Well, then
It's
I hope you get to see it.
It's my
one more time.
favorite. So.
Oh, nice. Who was it? Do you know who starred in it?
No, I saw it twice in New York and once in Boston. So I can't remember who was in any of the productions.
I got you. Stuff like that for me. I just unless I'm really focused on it, I can't remember. Like I remember I used to be able to tell you every single artist that appeared on like a bunch of different jazz records because I was super into jazz at the time. And now that I've kind of meandered in my my listening habits, I barely remember like half of what I knew. So I think even if I was super into musicals, I think by this point I wouldn't remember either. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm sorry. Happy Christmas Podcast Day. It's we're talking Ghostbusters today, but before we do that, it's time for my brand new segment, Hit Me with the Toaster. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to hit me with the first answer you can think of. So here it goes. Which Ghostbuster would make the best Santa Claus?
Ray, by far. He's the happiest one.
Are we talking Ray from the real Ghostbusters or Ray from the movies?
Either one.
Just
Ray. Just that character. That character is the one that would do it. Yep.
All right. I dig it. All right. You're having Christmas with the Ghostbusters. What dessert do you bring?
Well, my favorite dessert to make is candy cane pie. So,
ooh, that sounds amazing.
It's really good. It's pretty simple to make too. So
cool. Yeah. You got to shoot us the recipe.
I will.
Right on. Appreciate it. And finally, would you rather travel time with Doc and Marty or bust ghosts with the Ghostbusters?
Oh, even though we're talking about Ghostbusters and it seems like it would be really cool, man, one of my all-time dreams is to travel time. So Doc and Marty.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing. I love the Ghostbusters. It would be amazing to bust ghosts with them, but if I get a chance to go back and see some of the cool stuff that's happened throughout all the centuries, I think I'm going to take that chance.
Yep.
And hopefully not mess anything up.
Exactly. Well, I just want to be an observer. I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to mess anything up. So I would be just happy to go back and see some of, those great mysteries, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. So.
No. We're here to talk about something completely different. We're talking about the real Ghostbusters. Now, the real Ghostbusters was one of my favorite cartoons growing up. What do you remember about Ghostbusters in general and then the real Ghostbusters in particular?
Well, I remember the first time, did I rent Ghostbusters first? I can't remember, but growing up, I had a neighbor who worked at our local video place. It was called Video King, actually. And everybody who's nostalgic for Blockbuster had nothing on Video King. It was like an amazing video store, but she worked there and she had a huge collection of movies. So I used to borrow movies from her all the time. So I don't remember if I rented it or if I borrowed it from her, but eventually my parents picked up VHS copies of Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. And let me tell you, I just love them. They're great movies, both of them. And Real Ghostbusters is one of those things that I'd catch from time to time. You know, it didn't, I think by the time I was watching TV, I'm a little bit younger than you. I think by the time I was watching TV, it didn't have like a set station, like it was in
just
reruns
syndication. Right.
Yeah, so I would just I've always liked it, but I don't think I've even seen every single episode or anything like that because I could only just watch it when it was on.
Right. Yeah. And I totally get that.
And it wasn't available for a long time. Like there were no, I remember when the DVD set came out, it wasn't that long ago, and it was a big deal because it was the first time it had been available in a long time.
Right. Yeah. And I remember I was very, very happy when during the pandemic, no, was it the pandemic? It was around then when they released them all on YouTube for a while. And that was super cool. Just because I didn't want to buy the DVDs because, you know, DVDs were kind of dying out.
Sure.
And anyway, so yeah, I was like super grateful they were all on YouTube. I'm kind of right there with you as far as video stores. I do remember we had an awesome one called Movie Land Video, and I remember renting Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 from there as well. But I actually saw the first one in theaters, but I was so scared of that librarian ghost in the beginning that for most of the movie I kind of hid my face, apparently.
Understandable.
But yeah, it's like they're both just fantastically funny movies. The first one, of course, is an all-time classic. People are pretty divided on the second one. I like the second one a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it right out right now. I don't understand why people don't like that. I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't know what people are talking about when they say, I don't know if it's because I got them both on VHS at literally the exact same time. And I just don't understand it.
I don't either. It's the weirdest thing. I love part 2.
There is something about it. And I can't put my finger on it. I'm not going to try. That's not what I'm here for. There is something about it that's slightly not as good as the first one. Like, I acknowledge that. I don't know what it is exactly. I just know it's not quite as good. It's still not a bad movie.
No. And there's a lot of parts in part 2 that I just really love more than even part 1. Janusz, his character.
Yes.
It's just,
it's that guy.
How do you be mad at that guy? Yeah.
I can't remember that actor's name.
Peter McNichol.
Thank you. He's fabulous he's fabulous in Addams Family Values. I just love that guy. So
if everything you're doing is bad, I want you to know this.
Yeah, just a great job. And I think overall, maybe there's like a little sadness that's kind of there since they start off like not really being Ghostbuster. I don't know. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. There's something it's just not quite.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I still don't think it's bad. I still really like it. It's a great New Year's movie, obviously.
1,000,000%. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, they even had playing cards, and there's one with all the guys in their Santa hats, and it says like Merry Christmas, New York. It's pretty awesome. But the show I also watched. I remember watching it when it was actually out. And then I kind of stopped watching it. I'm not sure why. I think there were just other things as well that I really like to watch because it ran from 86 to 91. So in those last closing years, I know that's when we started getting some of those Nickelodeon shows we were talking about off camera, like Doug and Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy, and more that Nicktoons style that just
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it just like really changed animation. Before then, it was all like really action oriented. It was very toy centric. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, yeah, there was still some of that, but not quite as much. Like we got like that Disney block of cartoons in the late 80s, early 90s. And
Well, I don't know if it's all not necessarily because I mean, I grew up in the era of, like you were saying, toy centric. I mean, you want to talk toy centric, Street Sharks.
oh,
They had a whole Mighty Ducks cartoon,
I remember
basically,
the
so
Mighty
they could
Ducks
make
cartoon.
toys.
Yeah.
The Back to the Future cartoon had toys, I remember.
Oh, really? That one I didn't know.
Yeah,
That's
not
cool.
not very many, but it had some. Biker Mice from Mars, Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
so
at that time I was more into video games and girls. So
and of course
you
the
know,
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
well, Power Rangers, I did know. My little brother was super into those. He was born just a couple years, I think, before you. But
Mm,
yeah, but I feel like at least in those cartoons, they were more story oriented rather than just used as commercials to sell the toys. Whereas, like, and
sure.
not, I could be wrong because wasn't super into them, but I feel like at least of the ones I saw, there was more of like, and it could just be the writing style that developed over the time because writing has changed since the 80s. I just remember
Mhm.
the 80s, it just felt more like every single cartoon felt like a commercial for the toy
Mm,
rather than an actual just cartoon. But I don't know.
okay.
Either way,
No, that's fair. That's fair.
and really that's kind of a weird tangent to jump on, but Ghostbusters was one of those that I remember watching and loving the toys as well. And they had some cool toys. Like they had the ones where the guys would get scared and you'd like squeeze their legs and like their eyes would bug
Mhm.
out or their hair would fly up, just things like
Yep.
that.
Ghostbusters! Spangler, this lab is spooky. Venkman, yacht if ahead. Ah! It's full speed ahead! What an eyeful! Let's split. Great car! Step on it! Yikes! It's Highway Hunter! Looks like he got a rise out of you. We're out of here!
The real Ghostbusters, each sold separately, new from Kenner.
Safe!
They had the people that were like possessed by ghosts, and so like the football player that would turn into like a big kind
Mhm.
of mouth and
I'll say this because we were talking about, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but because
That's
since
okay.
we've been talking about, we're talking about toys and memories of Ghostbusters and everything, and I did forget to mention this. I have a lot of memories. We were talking about this before we started recording, but I have a lot of memories of Extreme Ghostbusters, which is
Oh
the
yeah.
sequel series to. I
Mhm.
had the Extreme Ghostbusters toy proton pack.
Oh, that's cool. That's
And
super
I
cool.
have a lot of memories of watching Extreme Ghostbusters as
I
well.
wanted a
So that
proton
was also
pack.
part of my
I never got a
yeah.
proton pack, so that's super cool that you got one. I never did see Extreme Ghostbusters. I think Janine's actually a Ghostbuster in that, isn't she?
No, Extreme Ghostbusters here. Let me bring up the names of the characters real quick because Extreme Ghostbusters was it's later and Egon brings together a new team of Ghostbusters. And of course they're all young and cool.
Right.
But there's Egon Slimer comes back. There is a character named Eduardo Rivera.
Oh, wow.
There's a character named Kylie Griffin who was voiced by Tara Strong. She
Oh,
was kind of
nice.
like a goth girl. There was Roland Jackson, and then there was a dude in a wheelchair. Wait, was Roland the one in the wheelchair? No, Garrett is the one. There's Garrett. He's in the wheelchair.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, no, I know I totally missed out on that one. But now I'm gonna go check it out for sure.
it's not bad. It's worth checking out. There's only 40. There's only 40 episodes, so it didn't
That's
run super long.
that's not terrible. that's like a couple of days off. I could get them all through.
Yeah.
Today, though, we're here to talk season 1, episode 13. Xmas marks the spot. Brilliant, brilliant title. So this was written by J. Michael Straczynski. He was kind of the
That's
kind of the
right.
showrunner.
It was.
Yeah. See, and the funny thing, he's been in TV, he's done like so many TV things, but I remember him actually most as from a run of Thor. From
I was gonna say, I know him most as a comic book
comics,
writer.
exactly right. Yeah.
Yep.
But he wrote like some episodes of He-Man. He helped shape like Jason the Wheeled Warriors. And sure enough, he really was like the staff writer and editor for the real Ghostbusters. But let's talk quickly. Let's get into some of the voice talent here. Then I just want to jump into the episode because it's pretty amazing. So, of course, we have Lorenzo Music as Peter Venkman. That's Bill Murray's character, but he pretty much sounds like Garfield.
Yeah, Lorenzo Music had one voice, and that voice was Lorenzo Music's voice.
Right, exactly.
And that's just for starters.
Yep. It's I think even Bill Murray was quoted as saying that he just sounds like Garfield. He doesn't sound like me. They ended up replacing him with Dave Coulier, who did his Bill Murray voice.
I just basically did a Bill Murray impression, and that was it. It was just kind of very simple. But I was filling some very iconic Lorenzo Music shoes, and it was something that really kind of played with my head at the time, because I thought his voice is so iconic and so recognizable. And here I'm just coming in doing a schlocky Bill Murray impression,
Interesting. But yeah, in this episode, it's the original cast. So Lorenzo Music is there. Frank Welker was, of course, he's like voice acting royalty.
Done everything in the world. He's just done so much. Frank Welker has.
And he's Ray and Slimer. And then we get Maurice LaMarche, who was probably best known as Egon, but he's done a bunch of other things too.
No, Maurice LaMarche is best known as the Brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really watch a lot of Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, it's a great show. You still now, as an adult, if you watch it, it's great. Their Christmas episode is fantastic.
Oh, nice. I think Mike Westwood, because they were on the Animaniacs, right?
They were, but then they had their own TV show, Pinky and
okay.
the Brain.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I think Mike Westfall's covering the Animaniacs Christmas one. I didn't know if Pinky and the Brain was in that, but
no, they started out as a segment on Animaniacs and then got their own show.
Oh, I gotcha. Cool. Yeah, see, again, this was like more when I was into like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and things like that. So I missed out on a lot of these shows. Plus, I was also kind of a little upset that like they stopped showing G.I. Joe and Transformers. But but we got Arsenio Hall.
He ain't lying.
As Winston, which I know that Ernie Hudson actually auditioned to play the voice of Winston, and they chose Arsenio Hall instead.
Didn't they ended up replacing like him too, right? I know they replaced Lorenzo Music, but then they replaced Arsenio as well.
They did as well, yeah. And Laura Summer is Janine in this one, who's replaced by Kath Soucie later on. But yeah, they did like a whole retooling thing, and that's kind of when J. Michael Straczynski left. He didn't like that they were kind of dumbing it down and putting everybody into like specific categories. Like
and eventually it became Slimer and the real Ghostbusters.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
Yeah, it sure was. Yeah, so this is like still the original cast, and we get Peter Renaday, who most people might know as Master Splinter, as the voice of Scrooge. Yeah.
Okay.
And then a few others here and there, but those are like the main ones. So let's dive into this thing because it's kind of a unique take on A Christmas Carol.
It's fun.
Straightforward, but unique as well. And you're right. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So the Ghostbusters are driving home on their way from upstate New York. I guess they just busted a big ghost. And they kind of get lost on the way. And there's a snowstorm, which causes the Ecto-1 to break down, essentially. And we get the classic line, Ray, where he's like, come on, baby, hold it together. They end up walking to see if they can find some sort of civilization and maybe a way to fix their car. And they're randomly transported like there's just a temporal anomaly here. Like you're a big Star Trek guy. So
Yep. Big swirling portal of snow.
exactly. Like the Enterprise will just be flying through space or floating, whatever, through space. And then all of a sudden it'll be, wait, there seems to be some sort of temporal anomaly located in this sector.
Oh, yes.
It's happening to the Ghostbusters right here. So they go through this big portal of snow and they end up in 1837 Victorian England.
Yeah.
Strange.
Hey.
We find out later that, spoiler alert, it might be on purpose.
I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's do it.
So they go through this portal and they see Bob Cratchit, who's buying his goose from the local butcher shop. And they happen to pick up on the PKE meter like some incredibly massive readings.
Picking up strong readings from inside. Right there.
There it goes!
I'm picking up other presences. Big, powerful. They're coming in at 12 o'clock high.
And they follow it to find the ghosts of Christmas, which I did think was strange because like Marley's leaving and then it's just all three ghosts right there in front of Scrooge.
Yeah, well, there's a couple things about this episode that made me go, huh? And that was one of them. Not that I didn't like it, but there were a couple things that just made me go, huh?
Yeah, all three ghosts appearing at the same time. Like at most, he should be able to get one, maybe two if Marley and Past are like crossing each other. But
correct.
Yeah, but they're all there. And so immediately they see the ghosts and they try to bust them as the ghosts protest loudly.
Young says no! You do him far more disservice than us!
Release us, or you and all Christmases to come will pay the price.
Yeah, we've heard it before.
No! You've done it! I'm as happy as an angel.
So Scrooge is very excited and he is going to thank them, but they ask for payment. This is where Scrooge pretty much just kind of reverts to his miserly self and he gets very angry that they're paying, but he pays them and it's like a mint condition 1837 coin. And Ray gets all excited because he knows it's worth quite a lot, even though Venkman was going to have a little fit about it.
Yes.
But they leave, and this is where Scrooge, this is like the turning point. Scrooge actually begins to write a book. And it's going to have a lot of ramifications later on.
Oh, I was going to say, this is getting to the other part that made me go, huh, but we're not quite there yet. So,
well, I think the fact that Scrooge in this reality actually exists and isn't just a story written by Charles Dickens is kind of interesting already.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. That's the part that made me go, wait, what?
He does exist!
So it turns out Charles Dickens was actually just a biographer and not a
yes,
not an author. It's kind of weird. I'm into it. I'm all in. So,
sure. Yeah.
All right. So the Ghostbusters head back. They manage to get back through the portal somehow, even though they don't really know it's like a portal till a little bit later. And they finally make their way, because Ecto 1 starts up, they make their way to New York, where they find everybody is just awful to each other. And Christmas is just not a thing.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah. In fact, it's so not a thing that everybody's just saying bah humbug to each other, threatening to start fights. It's like the Wild West out there, but
it's pretty terrible. It's getting back in well, everybody is Scrooge now all the time, which is, well, keep telling the story and then we can discuss why it seems a little odd to me.
Well, Ray is finally, he's observing it all. Everybody's noticing people are just terrible, but he knows that this particular store that they pass by, they always do their Christmas displays in the windows, and it's always jolly and festive.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, it's gone. But they find in its place, there's a book, and it's called A Christmas Humbug by Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yes.
And just the lady, there's a lady there. I don't know if she's the bookseller or what, but she just happens, she's like, everybody knows that story. And she tells him about how
In 1837, Scrooge defeated the 3 Christmas ghosts all by himself. Since then, Christmas has been gone, and good riddance.
Scrooge has this horrible message of be selfish, hate everybody, don't like Christmas, don't be nice to anybody. And somehow this book is one of the biggest sellers in the world and has turned everybody bitter and angry and hateful. It's something. Again, I like this episode, but that is a choice.
it really is. The funny thing is J. Michael Straczynski himself, he wrote it. He also said it's like his favorite episode of like his entire run.
It's a really good one. It's yeah.
It's just, it's strange that this particular book would have caught on, but it did. So the Ghostbusters, they get back to the firehouse. Even Janine is completely out of it. And they put together the fact that, okay, something's really wrong. We need to fix it. Apparently we were taken to the past. We busted the ghosts and we kind of ruined Christmas.
Right.
We just killed Christmas, Egon. Christmas is gone. Forever.
So they decide they split up. And so Egon is going to go on a quest because it turns out he had already put the ghosts in the containment unit. He's going to go on a quest into the containment unit to retrieve the ghosts.
This I remember from being young.
Me too.
The idea of going into the containment unit. I don't think it's the only time they did it on the cartoon. And when I was a kid, boy, and still even now, I'm like, what a cool idea. You can just go in there where the ghosts are.
But also
and it's
like
a whole ghost
scary,
world.
right? Yeah, exactly. It's like just a ton of like malevolent ghosts. And you trapped them there. So of course they're like super mad at you. I mean, come on. That's, that's kind of scary. So
it is. I don't disagree.
But also I feel it's like that Marvel villain, the Ghost, they can kind of, or even Kitty Pryde a little bit, who can kind of like phase through things. Because that's how he ends up having to do it. He has to like essentially phase himself.
Yep.
So Egon's going to go do that to retreat, going to go on that mission, that side quest, I guess, while the other 3 Ghostbusters are going to go back to Victorian England and they're going to pretend to be the ghosts in order to convince Scrooge he was wrong.
So funny.
It really is. So poor Venkman. And I think what makes this even more poignant is the fact that Peter kind of hates Christmas as well. His dad was traveling around a lot during Christmas. So he kind of, as they say in the actual episode,
it's easier to shrug that off if you pretend you don't care about Christmas.
And you pretend it long enough, pretty soon you believe it.
Yeah. But when they go back and they start being the ghosts, and they have to haul him in through the window dressed as the ghost of Christmas past. And then he puts a Viewmaster over his face and runs him in circles around the room in a wheelie chair. Oh my God, that was so funny.
I want to know where they got all that stuff.
They must have brought it they must have concocted the plan ahead of time.
I guess that's what it sounds like, yeah. But the Viewmaster was great.
You can see the complete 3D Cabbage Patch adventure in a Viewmaster gift set. Other gift sets include Michael Jackson and Masters of the Universe, each sold separately.
Just strapped it to his face.
That was just so funny.
Well, and Peter's there in like a curly blonde wig.
And like a tutu.
Tutu, yep. He straps like flares and like flashlights and stuff to his body. And so one of the things that Ebenezer, because he doesn't believe him, because when Venkman is like flying through the air on the string and finally lands inside the house, he lands on top of Scrooge. So he has like corporeal form. So Scrooge is just very unbelieving of the whole thing. And so he asks, well, your spectral aura is gone. So immediately Peter says, oh, okay, fine. You want to see a spectral aura. So he presses a nice little button on his belt. Which, I don't know how long it took them to rig this all up, but wow. So he presses this thing, it ignites the flares, the flashlights go off. It's like a whole, almost like a little firework kind of display. And Scrooge is just petrified with fear. So Venkman turns it off and convinces him, all right, let's go to the past. And this is where all the Viewmaster stuff. And you're right. The first time I saw it, I remember seeing this as a kid. And I remember just thinking it was one of the most hilarious things I'd ever seen. Because at this point, I'd already seen the 1984 Christmas Carol with George C. Scott. I had already seen Mickey's Christmas Carol. So I knew that he's supposed to actually go to the past.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so at the end of this whole ordeal, Venkman kind of tired. He like sits down in a chair, just plops down and asks Scrooge what he learns. And Scrooge is like,
dreadfully sorry. Was I supposed to be learning something?
He just has no clue.
Now, I can't remember. So who does the ghost of present? I can't remember.
Winston.
That's
so
right.
Winston is a ghost of Christmas present, right? So while all this is going on, we get Egon built us a little kind of adapter that would shoot a beam into the containment unit, and it would allow him to go in. And
he has to put on like a spacesuit kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was a cool looking suit.
It was.
But he goes inside and he's like hunting for the ghosts, and you just see all these other evil spirits.
It's a lot of the ghosts that they've caught.
That they had caught
throughout the show. You see,
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think you see Sam Hain, who was one of the big bads. Yeah.
Right, from the what is it, the Halloween Forever or the Forever Halloween, something
Forever
like that.
Halloween, yeah.
Which hopefully I'll cover next Halloween as well.
Nice.
So yeah, he's in there. There's a bunch of the other Killer Watt, I think, was there.
I can't. It's been so long since
I don't remember all their names. I just remember that
yeah.
name, Killer Watt, because I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch of the ghosts from previous episodes in there as well, and so Egon's trying to like kind of go under the radar and avoid being seen. So we cut back to England, and yes, it's Winston, and he's got like a rope attached to like some sort of pulley system, and he's being spun around in circles as he's carrying Scrooge, which that takes a lot of strength. He had to have a lot of strength for that. My whole thought was, how did he not drop this guy?
Yep.
But he had a big bushy red beard that I thought was cool. And he's just saying, look, do you see the workhouses? Do you see that? And of course, Scrooge is like, not really, because he's going by so fast. And Winston says, oh, don't worry. It's coming around again.
It's coming around again.
And there, the workhouses, where you said to send the poor. See them?
No, Spirit.
Well, hang around. We'll swing past again in a second.
So he did that, and then we get Ray, was the ghost of Christmas future, who tries to play charades with Scrooge.
Yes, that's right. Oh, that's good too.
Oh, I loved it.
Yep.
First syllable sounds like.
Yeah, so Egon manages to find the ghosts. They kind of hold on to him, hop on his back, something. And he has like these rocket boosts to help him kind of get out of there, because the other ghosts are noticing as well.
Got it. There they are. Hurry, follow me. Trouble, Janine. I think the other ghosts here have figured out what's up.
And in the meantime, Slimer has to keep the thing open, right? Because the machine is going all kinds of haywire, and he's doing his Slimer stuff because, they made Slimer a character.
Right, right. Which, as a kid, I wasn't mad about.
Sure.
Right. As an adult, it's like, but he barely came out. I mean, he slimed him, and then that was it.
Right, but they it's kids' cartoon. They needed the funny sidekick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got Frank Welker, you got to use him. So Egon narrowly escapes, and he manages to make it back through the time slip, as they're calling it, and unleash the real ghosts, but not before saying,
You will be visited this night by 3 spirits.
3 more? I'm not sure I can stand it.
The first will come at 1, the second at 2, the third will come whenever.
Everything, the day is saved. They return to the present. History is rewritten. And Peter as well by talking to the ghosts of Christmas Present, realizes that the Ghostbusters were brought there on purpose so that essentially the ghosts could kind of kill two birds with one stone.
And yep, take care of Peter's dislike of Christmas as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Which he spells out very nicely that it doesn't matter your past, you have to keep just move forward and make friends with what you got. That doesn't mean you have to have a bad Christmas, which is a beautiful sentiment when you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
And then they toast with some sort of blue liquid. I don't know what it is. It can't just be water. Why would they just toast with water? That doesn't make any sense.
Maybe it's nope. I've got nothing. It's just a blue liquid.
Right.
I thought I might have something. I don't.
Maybe it's some sort of alcohol. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or do you watch Parks and Rec?
No.
I was gonna say there's an episode where one of the characters gets drunk on blueberry wine. So maybe it's blueberry wine.
There's an alcohol called Blue Quaraco, I believe, and also they could be having. Maybe they're Star Wars fans. Maybe they're having blue milk.
Maybe it's blue milk. I think the Ghostbusters are definitely Star Wars fans.
So I propose a toast to Ebenezer Scrooge and the three ghosts of Christmas. Hear, hear.
Right. So the episode aired December 13th, 1986. It was the very last episode of season 1. And I really like this episode. I thought it was it's a nice way to turn the traditional Christmas Carol on its head. We get weird out of time shenanigans. We get just funny bits and a lot of scares from the containment trip. So yeah, this was a win for me. I really like this one.
Yeah, I did too. It's really good. Like I said, there's parts of it that are really funny. You get your Christmas Carol message for Venkman. You get the scary bits. That's the part my brain locked up. You get the scary bits with the inside of the ghost containment unit. It's amazing. It's a really just fun episode and it's a fun cartoon. I was saying this earlier. I got to watch more of it. I want to see more of the series that I haven't seen in a long time. So
yeah, and they actually do explain how Slimer kind of became their mascot, maybe pet. I don't know.
I'm sure they do. He's their friend. Yeah, that's what I would say. He's their friend.
So they do explain it as well. And it turns out that the Ghostbusters movie is just a movie based on the real Ghostbusters real adventure. So I thought that was a funny bit of retconning there.
Yeah, well, that's how they have is it in the pilot? No, it's probably later, but they do have one where they do go see the movie.
Right.
So they do explain that within the show itself. And that's also why the show, obviously the real reason the show is called The Real Ghostbusters was because there was already a Ghostbusters cartoon.
Right.
But they take advantage of that and say, no, this is the real Ghostbusters that the movie is based on. So.
Right. Which actually utilized the theme song and everything. The Ray Parker Jr. song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Classic. Like, you can't talk about Ghostbusters without talking about the song.
Oh, no, of course not. It's on my Halloween playlist. I've already been listening to it a few times already, so totally worth it. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you're right. It was a way to distinguish from the Filmation one, Ghostbusters, which I believe when they actually shot the movie, because Filmation owned the rights to the name Ghostbusters, they would film a scene with the name Ghostbusters, and then they would film the scene again with other stand-in names, like I think Ghost Breakers was one of them. Yeah, there was a couple. So of course they were able to secure the rights, and so they used Ghostbusters finally. But wanting to capitalize on that fame, that's where we got Ghostbusters with Filmation. And it was inspired, of course, by their previous, I think from 1975, their live action little sketch that they used to do there. Now, this episode actually aired as a standalone Christmas special on Christmas Eve in '94. It was paired with a bunch of other Saturday morning cartoons on ABC. And then on CBS, it actually aired the year afterwards, December 9th, '95. And in each one, the credits are a little bit different. Yeah, this is just it was pretty cool. We talked about, the Sandman was one of the ghosts in there as well. I have that note.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And there was a couple of other things that was going to be in there, some deleted scenes and things that were different in the storyboards than we actually got. But it really doesn't matter. The one we got was great. But it does make me wonder, Matt, what would you say would be your happiest memory or moment with Ghostbusters?
Long beloved franchise. You know, those original 2 movies I like a lot. I only saw the reimagining with all the women. I only saw it once, but I always tell this story of like, I gotta throw in the caveat, like my wife and I, we were having a date day. We went to dinner and everything, dinner and a movie, and we went and saw it. And we had a good time. We laughed watching it. So I don't know if like I thought it was good just because I was having a good day. I don't know if it was related to be, you know, or I don't know if like maybe I have to revisit it sometime and see if maybe I genuinely liked a movie that everybody else said was terrible. Like maybe I did. I don't know. The video game was really good. That was technically they called that Ghostbusters 3 for quite a while. So it's hard to say what my happiest memory is. It's just a fun franchise to have in my life.
I agree. Yeah, and you know it's funny when you bring up that Paul Feig. Feig? Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, the all-female version, because I thought. So of course it's not my favorite. I actually enjoyed the performances though. There was some funny, really funny bits I thought in there, and overall I had a great time watching it.
Okay.
But something was missing, you know.
Oh, sure. It's not. I mean, I even having only seen it once, I can admit it's not. It's certainly not like the best movie ever made or anything. And there's probably problems with it. But it came out so long ago, and I only saw it once.
Same.
I am. I'll say it. I was not as high on Afterlife as everybody else was.
Oh wow. Yeah, I really like that one. Yeah.
Quite dig Afterlife as much as everybody else. I'm hoping I like the next one more than Afterlife, but something about Afterlife just did not gel with me.
I gotcha. And that's okay. Yeah. I did like Afterlife. I thought it was really good. There was some odd choices.
I don't hear.
I think that's it. What I'll say. There were just some odd choices.
There were some odd choices, and I'm personally over kids saving the world. I think that's a big part of it. I have been for a while.
Yeah.
Like just kids saving the world is like, I want to see old guys save the world. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean. I want to see like nerds our age, like you know us save the world. No, I get you though. Yeah, I think a lot of that was just because it was riding high off of the coattails of Stranger Things.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great way to send off Harold Ramis. It would have been cool to have gotten something with him in it before, and I would have been very curious to see where they would have gone. Would Gozer have been back? Would they have just done a completely different thing?
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping for this next one that it's completely different.
Me too.
We don't need to see Gozer. We don't need to see Vigo. Let's get a whole new.
Just get a new big bad in there.
Yeah, Sam Hain.
Yeah, there we go.
Or something. I don't know, but yeah, I know what you
The
mean.
Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman would have been.
That big faced Boogeyman with the little legs and the hoofs.
Oh man, that creeped me out every single time I saw him.
His voice too. I'm not even going to attempt to do it, but he had that really raspy voice in that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way in heck I can do it. But yeah, so I'm excited for it as well. But now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is a little bit I like to call Gag Me with the Spoon. So this is where we do our best impression of our least favorite part of the episode, or we can do an impression of anything Ghostbusters related. Whether you like it or
completely
don't
forgot
like it.
about Gag Me with a Spoon. I'm unprepared.
That is okay. I can go first if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, you go first.
All right. So the Ghostbusters have just gotten back. They're walking through the city, and they see all the men fighting, the people just being awful to each other. And one guy says, "I'll give you Christmas noogies all over your head, buddy. Bah, humbug."
That's a good one. I'll tell you, since we've brought him up a few times, and it's, I love Frank Welker and everything, but the Slimer voice, I've never enjoyed that. Like it's slightly babyish, slightly not, and it just grates on my.
That's so good. I cannot do that. That is amazing.
Yeah. So I guess that's anytime Slimer does his his noises,
Is Slimer like the snarf of Ghostbusters?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Poor guy. That's very good. But G.I. Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. What do you think the other half is?
Being very careful when you're carrying an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on your back.
That's amazing. That's way better than mine. I thought, so if knowing's half the battle, the other half is just pretending to be a ghost until a real ghost appears.
There you go.
Oh, man. Matt, it's been so much fun talking to
Always,
with you
Jerry.
about this. Tell me about all your shows or anything else you want to plug.
Sure. If you're super interested in maybe learning about Christmas performing, being Santa, Mrs. Claus, an elf, something like that, you can check out my podcast, North Pole Radio. Would love to have you over there. Also, if you're into just generally nerdy stuff, you can check out my podcast, Two Broke Geeks.
And you used to do FBI's Most Unwanted.
I used to do FBI's Most Unwanted, but the reason I discovered that rewatch podcasts ended up making something I really enjoyed into work, and I didn't like that. Plus, I reached a point where I was just doing too many podcasts, and I was like, okay, I'll take the one away that makes me feel like watching my favorite TV show is now homework, or one of my favorite TV shows is now homework.
But you can still check out the episodes, right?
Sure. There's still the episodes there through, I think, most of season 3 maybe into season 4. I can't remember now.
Cool. Yeah. But definitely go check them all out. It's good stuff. I know you guys were talking about Star Wars recently.
Yeah, this past week we talked about Star Wars, some Godzilla stuff,
nice,
all kinds of good stuff. So.
Who's your favorite kaiju?
Oh, Godzilla. I just love Godzilla. I'm really looking forward to this year in December, Godzilla -1, which is the newest Godzilla film coming out from Toho.
Right
it's
on.
Really awesome.
That one where they Godzilla versus Kong, where they kind of teamed up against Mecha Godzilla.
I did. I like the legendary American Godzilla movies. All 3 of them. They're Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla versus Kong are all 3 of them really good. And actually, so is Kong Skull Island, which that's also a really good movie. And that series, that universe has a TV series coming out on Apple TV Plus also this year. Called Monarch something or other. It's about the kaiju monster, like keeping the world safe group that they created in that universe. It's called Monarch, and that's what the TV show is about. And it's going to have Godzilla and a bunch of other kaiju in it. So
right on. Yeah, that's always exciting. I loved all those, King Ghidorah and Mothra and all those guys. They're just, good stuff.
Yep.
But on that note, let me say thanks again.
Of course, I'm always happy to be here.
And I'll end it with, I propose a toast to Ebenezer Scrooge and the 3 Ghosts of Christmas. So check us out on our social media pages, which you can find at linktree.com/totallyradchristmas. And if you're feeling like Scrooge learning the true meaning of Christmas, leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us reach more people and spread some rad holiday cheer. Now, don't forget to check out our merch shop on TeePublic and our super dope website, totallyradchristmas.com. Now, Ebenezer Scrooge, farewell. Later, dudes.
It's funny. I always thought all that was just a story. Makes you wonder what else might be real.
On, Dancer! On, Prancer! On, Donner! On, Blitzen!
Nah, couldn't be. Then again, why not?
Merry Christmas to all!
And to all, a good night.